Howdy. So continuing on with my self bend repair, not restoration. I painted the one gearbox, but that was just because I put those two parts in dip tank and they took all the paint off of them. I didn't want them to rust. But the half nuts on this particular model were worn, so I found some on eBay. It cost me an arm and a leg, but I have them. So yeah, they're I use it off a 28 model, and the difference between the 28 model and my 33 model is there's no safety recess. This model here won't let you engage unless it's in the middle location on this star knob. I can open and close it here, but if I bring it down and I can't engage it. So that's because there's a detent location in the lower portion, right about there, and I'm gonna have to file that into this one. So in order to do that, I need to take this apart. So that's what we'll do now. And I have the lead screw off right now, so I'm just going to be dropping these two bolts and dropping the apron off. This would cover basically any single apron self bend, but based on what I've read, from mid-20s through the mid-30s until the double wall apron, I think, was 37. So let me get at it. Okay, like I said, my lead screw is not in place right now, so nothing's holding us on besides the apron on top. So I'm thinking I can just lower this down by taking these two screws out and taking it off that way. So I'm going to try that. I've already had this apart once, so these should come apart fairly easily. That one's out. That one's out. Let's see. What's catching? Oh, that's catching. Where's that wrench? The stop is catching on the back here. Yep. So I also have to remove the stop. If I hadn't had the lead screw out, I would have removed the tailstock and removed the end here, cranked to the end, and pulled the entire thing off. But here's my let me make sure you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. Here's my apron. Like I said, it's a single apron, so it's relatively clean because I had just taken it apart. It was dirty before. Parts that I'm looking for, like I said, my half nuts were fairly well worn, especially on the top here. There's very little left, and they probably would have been okay, but I'd rather not risk it. I also need a new clutch. That's how much play I have in that. Those teeth are pretty well worn. So we're going to bring this over to the bench, and we're going to work on the bench. Let me bring it over there. Okay, so over at the bench, you can take a look. I've done the felt kit on this already, which really only had a couple. It wasn't too bad. And degreased and cleaned. So this is fairly nice looking. And I'm going to show you some things and not actually do them because I don't need to. We'll see. Get a screwdriver out. So we'll start in the front, take some of the knobs off. Now I'll tell you, I wasn't able to get this one nut off right here. I just couldn't. It's pretty well on there. So on a machine that's this old, and if I don't have this part already, I'm not going to force it, because if I break it, I'm kind of in trouble. What is that? Take off. That just comes off with a wrench. And this slides right off. This engages the half nuts, which is the part I need to work on today. Put this aside. What else do we take off here? So when I first took this apart, this handle up here, which is a little bit out of camera here, there's a pin inside, and it wasn't there, so I couldn't hold on to the handle to take it off. If you were missing that pin, you'll have the same problem. I had to jam the gears up a little bit in order to get it off. I made a pin out of a nail, and that's what's in there right now. So there's a pin in there right there. It's just a nail, and that's what's keeping it on. I'm going to move this to the side too. And what else can I do for this side right now? Okay. I can take this gear off. This is the gear that engages your cross slide. And I left the shaft on because it was pretty well tight. So actually I didn't need to take that nut off. Just gotta slide the gear off the back. Nothing is holding that on this particular model. So I'll move that to the side. And let me see. Take that screw out. There's a small detent in this washer that lines up at that little hole right here, and then afterwards that slides right out. Actually, I could have left that on, and I'm going to put it back on now. Okay, it's back in place. Put that over here. And this one just holds on too, but you can't get that on until you get this worm gear out. That has 3 screws in the bottom. And I'm not going to take the worm off. I'll show you how it comes off though. One, 2, 3. There's 2 pins in here too, and they stay in place. So when you put it back together, you line those pins up. And I'll take the cotter pin out first. Make a pair of pliers. almost got it closed. Okay, that should pop out now. Okay. Then I should be able to unscrew that centerpiece by turning the knob that engages the clutch. A little bit more. Okay, now it's free. Then there's a washer in there that holds everything together. Right there. But I gotta pound this out in order to get it in. So no, I didn't pound that out to get it out. Okay, I'm back. So I'm gonna pry this up. What that's holding it in place right now is the tube on the top, which it fits into for getting oil. Pull that back a little bit. Okay, free. So this is the worm, and it has a drive. The drive keyway right there. That's what drives this worm, this worm gear, which is what drives everything in this apron, except for the half nut. Put that over there. Remember how this comes apart. Okay, I remember how this came apart. This nut on the end of that one. Once you have that done, you can pull this off, push this pin, and this pin comes out. And that's what retains the clutch in place. The clutch is rather tight. All you do, I'm not going to remove it, all you do is pry it out right there. Once it comes, it'll keep on going, but it's rather tight. And seeing I don't need to take it off for this, I'm going to leave it on. When you have that off, you can remove this rear gear, this one right here, and this gear here slides right off. And then you're, other than having your half nuts off, you're completely disassembled. So it's really, really kind of an easy one. Like I said, I need to get the half nuts off, so I'm going to take those off now. And I need another wrench. Okay, get half nuts off. Just loosen that up. And I'm going to leave the thread dial gauge on. There's no reason for me to remove that. Yours may or may not have one. Here's that detent I told you about. Okay, now my half nuts can come out. That's what I need to work on. The detent will pop out too as well. But I need to file my other one in that same pattern so it fits. You can see here at the bottom I have no teeth. and make the other one. So, let me zoom in. You can see my worn one on the left and the good one on the right. No teeth on mine. So, I'm going to file that in, put it back together, and this will be good to go. Reassembly is the same process in reverse. There's not too much to it. Only felts in this. There's one here, and there's one under the shaft here. No other felts on this particular model. Like I said, I wasn't able to get this nut off, and because I don't have a spare part for it, I'm not going to take it off. On a machine this old, you kind of got to choose your battles, and that's not what I need to fight, so I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to file away and reassemble, and maybe tonight I'll get this thing back together. So until next time, thanks for watching.